Hi, everybody. We are using regular Facebook Live technology today. This is me, Martha Beck. Who's Martha? It's me. Oh, look, we froze already. Okay. This is my fabulous sidekick, Rowan.
Hi.
And she is here trying to, we're trying to use an
African internet.
I mean, I thought it was made of bamboo and, hammered together with rocks. That just sounds culturally discriminatory.
We're in the middle of nowhere. It's hard for the internet here.
There is a leopard that did eat an impala on our next door neighbor's porch last night. Jennifer Voss, many of you know her. She was wearing leopard print pajamas. She got up in the middle of the night, heard something going on, looked out of her door, and there was a leopard with a cub and a kill. It was 2:00 in the morning, so Jennifer, being a highly educated, very experienced businesswoman, wearing a leopard print pajama outfit, immediately concluded that the leopard would see her as a threatening other leopard that it would have to defend against for the cub and the kill. So she spent the whole night crouched behind the bed going, I'm a termite mound. I'm a termite mound.
I'm so sorry, J-Bo. I'm so sorry that this has come out here.
Yes, when she signed up to be a life coach, I'm not sure she knew that's where she'd end up. Anyway, we did manage to get some people together, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Welcome to the gathering room. So sorry we didn't make it happen last week, but we would just keep trying.
We have lots of lovely people saying hello from lots of lovely places.
Oh, beautiful.
Always.
There.
Hi, gang.
Yay.
So good to see you.
So many familiar names, Liz and Melanie and Teresa. Yay.
So what we're going to do tonight, because we're having some problems with the usual technology, where your questions appear, I'm just going to read them out when it comes time, but don't hesitate to go ahead and ask Martha questions, because it's always good when we get started to have a couple in the bank.
So you probably already know this because I go on about it ad nauseum, but I come to this place in Africa because I believe that there is a model here. I spent many, many years reading everything there was to be read about socioeconomic development in the third world, about the way ecosystems are being destroyed and species are being wiped out. And I was in total despair. And then I came to this place in Africa where they, a few people, like literally 5 people, took an absolutely destroyed land and made it whole again, made it natural again. So there was a guy, a geologist, who came to this part of the world. When was it? It must have been about 60 years ago now, 50 or 60 years. And all it was a desert covered with thick thorn bush, and there were no animals here. It had been overgrazed, and then the natural vegetation was outcompeted by this sort of weed, this very, very aggressive and gnarly weed. And all the animal species left. But this geologist said to the 2 teenage boys who owned the land that he could see another landscape below the ruined landscape. That if they took that thorn bush and hacked it up and put it in the places where the water had eroded fissures in the ground, the moisture would stay in the soil and the grasses would come back instead of the thorns, and then the animals would return. And today this is the most successful restored landscape on Earth. And they went on, these same few people, to heal areas of the world that in total are bigger than Switzerland. So things that were dead, landscapes that were dead, that are Eden now, like literally Eden. Last night I couldn't sleep, and I thought someone was like rustling around in bed a lot. Got up, went into the bathroom, and right next to my face through a screen with no glass was an elephant, a huge bull elephant, just munching out a bush. And I just stood there on tippy toes with this elephant, his trunk, this huge trunk, this big, coming swiping past my face. And I was like, oh, Monsieur l'Oliphant. I just stayed there with him for like an hour in a place that used to be dead and gone, And if you look at, like I do, look at all the Nat Geo wildlife things, David Attenborough things. There's this devastating part where they say, this is the rate of ecosystem destruction. This is how much plastic is in this ocean. This is how many species were lost last year. And it makes you just want to like get a taxi to the nearest bridge and jump off. This place gave me, oops.
Don't worry.
Okay. This place gave me hope. Yes, that's the word. And not just hope for parts of the ecosystem, but hope that we can look at anything ruined or broken in this world and see something else that is potential behind it. See the Eden, the innocence, the purity, the original form that is waiting to come through the thorn and the fissures and the devastation. And that's what I think we want to do with each other. And with ourselves. Let's start with ourselves right now tonight. You can always start with yourself. It's so convenient. I'm the only thing I never misplace, so I always start there. Like, look at the ruined landscape of your life. Where do you feel like it will never come back? Where do you feel like Eden has been lost forever and cannot be restored? Even there, I'm telling you, even there, a new landscape is waiting to be born. An original innocence is waiting to reclaim itself. And when innocence is lost and then reclaimed, it becomes wisdom. So innocence doesn't know how to sustain itself. It's very vulnerable. But once it's been destroyed and then recreated, the capacity of wisdom is to continue to nourish it forever and to keep the bad things from destroying the system again. So literally, this is, I think, our hope for saving the world. And right now, it's where we can go with our own lives. So should we take some questions on that?
Yeah, guys, go ahead and post any questions that you have. I'm going to start with Kiki, who asks, Martha, I'm an African lady trying to do a PhD in Europe, and it has been soul-destroying. I have an opportunity to apply for another program in a neighboring country. I'm anxious to do my...
Oh, no.
Are we back?
Yeah.
I wonder if I should just quit and try to write a novel, copywriting, and documentary filmmaking, but it's risky. So many things involved, like residence permit and all.
Yeah.
With and all being a lot.
And all being a lot. If it's soul destroying, then you know that there's something going on that shouldn't happen. And I remember in my PhD program, you know, right in the middle of it is when I had my son and I had my spiritual rebirth. And I remember sitting in a faculty meeting because I was an assistant professor and I was trying to finish my doctorate and I had 2 little kids at home and I was exhausted and I hated academia. And I loved the learning, but I hated the system. So I remember sending up this prayer. God, if you want another PhD in this body, you're going to have to do it because I'm not doing it anymore. And a weird thing happened. Like I could have dropped out, but instead things started to go oddly well. Things started to go my way. And I was in a completely surrendered state. And I expected to quit because it was soul destroying. But when I surrendered to the process and said, well, if this is going to happen, I'm not doing it. Something better work through me. A little miracle happened. And yeah, there was work involved, but the soul destroying nature of it was it got tamped down quite a lot. So that could be what is going on with you. If you just say, look, I'm going to let this thing, I'm not going to work so hard at it. I'm not going to be so engaged. You may be able to do it and get it done and it's instrumental to your mission. But then there came a time, like 3 years ago, when I said, I want to write a book that's weird and spiritual and everybody's going to think it's odd. And I don't want it to go through the New York establishment of publishing. And I tried sending it to my agent, sent it to some publishers, and their responses were, you know, let's turn it into a real self-help book instead of this weird spiritual kick you seem to be on. And I just said, no, I'm gonna publish it myself, write it exactly the way I want, publish it the way I want, and it's creative and it's risky and it's going to cost me money before it earns me money. And I could not do it any other way. That was the way I had to do it. So inside yourself, there are 2 ways to restore the landscape of you, Kiki. to your all your concepts you're doing. Just kill them all and if something survives, let it happen. The other way is to say, that landscape of creativity, and to stay in school would harm it so completely that I don't even have the option to staying in my integrity. I would have to destroy my own integrity to keep doing this, or to stop myself from doing the films, the documentary stuff and everything. You are the only judge of what is best for you. But notice the destroyed landscape and look for the place where you can see something flowering beneath it. And then just say to the Almighty, I'm not going to do it. What happens?
And as someone who recently surrendered and said, if you want another PhD out of me, you'll have to do it. I recently dropped out of a PhD program and I feel fantastic about it. And now I'm writing my real thing, you know?
Yeah.
So both can happen.
Yeah. And I think the times are really, the old systems, you know, that I went through, they're dissolving so fast, and trying to keep and it's like a bunch of zombies walking around. The ghosts of the 20th century are just all around us, and they're not going to come back to life, you guys. So it is risky. It's scary as hell to be alive right now, and it's amazing to be alive right now, because we're all gonna have to take risks and see how we can thrive in this world. But the potential and the avenues through which we can express our creativity, which is in the end source of our wealth, is always going to be to create something. Robert Louis Stevenson said, everybody lives by selling something. I say everybody lives by creating something. And this is the time in all of human history of maximum creativity. So if you can create a way to add value to the world, you can make it a living. And that's the premise of my life, my coaching, and everything else. So, Kiki, hang in there. You're precious, and your way will be shown to you.
Okay, I have Sandy who asks, how do you keep motivated to personal growth or awakening when those closest to you don't get it and won't support it?
You know what's interesting is that ideally we'd be surrounded, embraced by a community that is like us and that heals us. But there are times when that community isn't what's happening right now, and we are meant to shift to another set of patients. And when the people around you aren't supporting your growth, what happens is, let me couch this very carefully because it's countercultural. What happens is the soul becomes very frustrated. And very frustrated is another word for angry. If you stay too long in a group of people who aren't matching your vibe, and your soul wants you are the swan in the duck's nest. You're the ugly duckling that everybody's going to pound on. And it's because you're meant to be something. You're another kind of being with its own kind of beauty that they aren't recognizing. So be very observant to see if you are despairing and angry after an encounter with the people in your life. And if you are, that doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean that you have to, leave them forever. What it means is that your vibration is changing. Like you are fledging as a swan. And please don't believe, as you begin to grow in spirit, that other people's negative attacks are proof that you're not good enough or that there's something wrong with you. It may very well be that there's something extraordinarily right with you and they just can't see it. When you own that, when you let your anger teach you its lesson, if you sit down with it, you don't yell at other people, you sit down and say, why am I so angry? And the answer may be, they don't see me. They just don't get me. Then you know to set your intention to let them go. You're moving at a different pace in a different direction. And if you set your intention, instead of trying to fit in with that group, twist yourself into the shape that they will like. If you can lovingly say, I don't fit that shape anymore. I'm going to grow, and I love you all. And if you want to come with me, you can, but nothing's going to stop me and nothing's going to slow me down. What I've experienced is that other people come to meet you. And that's very sweet. Like when we did Ride into Light last year, like the riders who showed up for that course, holy crap. Hello, you guys.
You guys are there. We know you're there.
You know, to read a poem somebody wrote and just realize, oh my God, I'm dealing with someone at a very high level of spiritual maturity and talent and heart and soul. Yeah, that's waiting for you the moment you decide to claim what you actually are becoming.
Totally. Yeah. Beautiful. Rebecca Tolan. Hi, Rebecca.
Yeah, speaking of
amazing writers. She asks, related to your original point, if the barren landscape of our life is something that can't be regained precisely, such as child-rearing years, do you simply channel that mother energy in another way? Such a good question.
That's really good. Like if you didn't manage to have a child during those years, or if you raised a child in a way, I mean, I wish I could go back and start over because I did not do it well. But here's what I believe. You know, there are some people who say that a reclaimed landscape isn't like the original because they can do soundscape recordings and they find that if like they mow down a forest in Canada and then plant a bunch of trees, it's not the same density of species variety and so on. But at Londolozi, it's come all the way back. It took 25 years, but it actually came all the way back to probably more verdant, probably more populated with animal life than it was before farming started here. What I believe is that once you see that something has been overgrazed and ruined, not only can it be restored, but you can literally retroactively change your past. Not the facts of the past, those happened, okay? But the meaning of them and the way they work. Now, I'm going to tell you a very strange study. This is one of my favorite studies, and it's one of the studies on healing related to prayer. So they take, there have been many of these studies. They have two groups of people that are having the same operation, same illness, whatever. They choose randomly a group that is going to be prayed for by people who they don't even know, and a group that will not be prayed for. And very, very robustly, the people who get prayed for, who don't even know they're being prayed for, recover faster, have fewer complications, fewer side effects, and so on. The scientific community does not like these studies, and they finally managed to bust it. They did a study once where they finally found that people who were prayed for had no effect at all. But the way they could was that they made sure that people doing the praying didn't believe in prayer and didn't like the whole prospect of praying and were complete atheists, and that they were doing it out of a desire to disprove the evidence. Anyway, those people, when they prayed for other people, it didn't work. Okay, all of that to set up this one. There was one study that was done, same random group, same heart surgery, same results. The people who got prayed for had a significantly faster healing, lower complications and everything. The weird thing is that the people who had the operations, the people who were being prayed for, had their surgeries 10 years before the praying began. I'm going to let that sink in for you. These people were randomly sorted 10 years after their surgeries. One randomly sorted group was prayed for retroactively in time. And then when they looked at the records of how those groups compared, the people who got prayed for 10 years in the future had a very statistically significant improvement compared to the other group. Like if you believe in linear time, that's impossible. But as Albert Einstein said, those people like us who believe in physics know that the distinction between the past, the present, and the future is nothing more than a stubbornly persistent illusion. So, all of that just to say, the years that you lost get them back. You know, what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'll tell you another weird thing. I used when I was when in my 20s and struggling through trying to raise kids and do all this stuff, I'd get into places where I didn't know what to do. So I would ask 50-year-olds, tell me how I survived this situation and what I did to get through. And I would vividly imagine myself at 50 coming and sitting down, because I thought, boy, if I live that long, I certainly will never get older. And I would sit there with my 29-year-old self and say, okay, here's how it went down. Yeah, you were really miserable, but somehow you sucked up the courage to go confront your thesis advisor and, you know, whatever it was, and ask for the help you needed to get your dissertation finished, whatever. Somehow, you know, you found the right specialist to work with your son with Down syndrome, whatever it was. But my 50-year-old self seemed to know all the ropes. So then I would do that and it would help. Then I turned 50. It so happened that that year was the year I became obsessed with meditation, long meditations. And frequently in meditation that year, I would feel myself being sucked into the room with my 25, 27, 29-year-old self. And that younger self saying, what the hell am I doing? I said, I'll tell you how it goes down. So it was like time travel, literal time travel. And it was bizarre because I knew what I knew because I did it when I was younger, but I did it when I was younger because I knew what I knew. Actually, I think we're all tapped into a consciousness that is not in linear time and that loves us completely and that is infinitely intelligent. And when we use our imaginations to ask for help, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, it's always good to stay in the present, sure, but ask for help from any being in the world, in the known universe, in the unknown universe, in the multiverse. Ask for help, ask for advice, and then imagine in whatever weird way you want to dream up. And the help comes in. The help comes in. And then these little weird miracles happen, like being sucked back in time, that make me think, holy crap, I actually was time traveling. So that probably doesn't help anybody at all.
Oh, I think it does.
Really?
I think it does. Yeah, but land the plane for Rebecca. So if that part of your life is in linear time gone, do you try and reach
Okay.
out?
All right. So let's get really pragmatic about this.
Yeah.
All right. So there's something in your life you wish you'd done differently. You go in, you find the fragment of yourself that is still stuck in that situation. The only reason you're having regrets about it is that there's a piece of yourself still fighting to be free from that situation. So if I go back to when I was trying to get the right therapies for Adam, say, I can find the piece of me and an age pops up immediately, 29. Okay, good. So then you walk into the room with the 29-year-old and you sit down with her, whatever the age was when you received the trauma, and you say, tell me everything. I have a little script. It goes like this. Tell me everything. And then you let the part of yourself that was broken, the part of yourself that was barren and thorny, express its pain. And this is what we do in Ride into Light too. And you just keep saying, tell me everything, until that wounded part of yourself has told its whole story of loss. And then you say, we're going to take away the belief that this can't be changed, because that's the thorny scrub. We're going to release all of that. We're going to let go, and we're going to open to the possibility that love can repair this, no matter what happened, no matter when it happened. And then it actually helps to slow your breathing and deepen your breathing. And you say, I allow the help to come. I allow the landscape of my life to be changed. One way I like to do it is imagine that you're walking and you can look behind you and it's all scrub and thorn. But you do this exercise, you listen to your own pain, you slow your breathing and say, I allow the restoration to come in, the healing. And then you imagine yourself turning around. And where everything was scrub and gray and dead, you see a wave of green moving toward you from the horizon. And as it comes, the grasses grow, a few trees grow up, whatever the the landscape looks like. It'll happen in your imagination, and the thorns disappear. And every prayer you've ever prayed is one of those trees, is one of those blades of grass, is one of the people you've loved, where the love's coming back and you haven't let it land yet. Every blade of grass is a person whose life you've touched for better. And if you can receive that, and seeing the green wave for me is part of being able to receive it, then you can take the healing into your soul as it is now, and then you can watch what happens to the wounded fragments of yourself. I actually did that with Dave Vardy, one of the men who actually did physically restore this, because he wants to heal the world and he can't do it fast enough. So we did that meditation, and as we did it, I saw everything he had healed, and it was mostly animals, and it was kind of like a vision. It was real. It was strong. It was consciousness showing us how to play this game. And if you do it, you're going to see the truth about your life too. It just go on and on.
You're perfect. Perfect. You guys, I'm so sorry, because usually when we do this, I can go all through the comments, but Facebook is like only giving me like the last few minutes. But someone did ask about, is there an integrity book coming, and when, and what's that about, and when might that come?
Yeah, the integrity cleanse. I'm about 150 pages into it, and I plan to finish it on August 1st, and then I'll probably go with the normal publisher for that one. But thank you so much for asking. And I just want to end with Joanne's question. Like, how can we hold on to this hope when we don't get to go to this beautiful place and be around leopards on the front porch and whatever? And here's what I would say. Replenish any part of your immediate physical environment that you can, because it's nice to use this metaphorically, but changing spaces is a very profound spiritual practice. If you can find one space in your house that feels a little bit barren, you don't really like it, and you can find a way to bring in something that makes you feel peace, makes you feel rebirth, makes you feel growth. You could bring in a bunch of flowers. You could make a little altar. You could put a cozy beanbag chair there and put blankets all around it. Make a sacred space and restore that first. And keep restoring what's in your heart, and let it start to fractal out to the spaces around you. And by doing that physical action, it's a turtle step. It starts a cascade of actions that can be inspired to restore, whether it's a city apartment or a jail cell. I'm not joking. You can do it anywhere. And the wonder is that the miracle happens anywhere. Nelson Mandela did it from a barren 10 by 4 foot cell for 27 years. He restored himself and created a peaceful transition for a nation that should have gone into a bloodbath. You can do the same thing. We can all do it in our own hearts, in our own spaces, and wherever we are on the planet.
And you guys, I just want to say there were so many brilliant questions that we didn't get to tonight, but it's like, you guys, if you see a question that Martha didn't get the chance to answer and you have some ideas, like dive in, like talk to each other, because this is what we're creating here. It's a gathering room. It's not the microphone. It's the circle.
It's the gathering room.
Please feel free to continue gathering.
Thank you guys for tuning in and coping with our wonky internet. And we'll be here again next week. So everybody pray that it happens and get a statistically significant result.
Thanks for all your wonderful comments.
Yes.
It's great to hear from you.
Much love to all of you. Mwah.
Bye.